You had the perfect comeback. It was sharp. It was devastating. It would have ended them completely. The only problem? The argument happened 4 days ago. The other person has completely moved on, and you're standing in the shower delivering a closing statement to a jury of shampoo bottles. Welcome to the world of rehearsed conversations that never happen. And here's the thing nobody tells you. You do this constantly. Not occasionally. Not when things get really bad. Constantly. You are, at this very moment, probably 3 conversations deep into a scenario that has a 0% chance of ever occurring exactly the way you're imagining it. You've already planned what you'd say if your boss called you into a meeting to criticize your work. You've mapped out the exact tone you'd use. Measured, calm, quietly devastating. You've got a line prepared that would make them pause, reconsider everything, and possibly offer you a promotion out of sheer respect. Your boss has not called you into any meeting. Your boss was actually going to ask if you wanted anything from the coffee run. But here's the weird part. That doesn't stop you. The rehearsal continues. Because your brain isn't preparing you for reality. It's preparing you for a version of reality where you finally get to say the thing you actually meant to say. And you never got to say it. So now you're saying it. Alone. In your car. Doing the other person's voice badly. Let's be honest about how deep this goes. You've had full arguments with people who don't know they're in an argument. You've constructed elaborate scenarios where someone says something slightly rude to you in a meeting, and within about 45 seconds of imaginary escalation, you have delivered a 4-minute speech that touches on workplace culture, basic human respect, and your own personal growth journey. Nobody said anything to you yet. You're in the parking lot. The meeting is in 6 minutes. This is where things become ridiculous, because the rehearsal doesn't just cover conflict. You rehearse good things too. You practice asking for the raise with such precision that by the 3rd run through you've already spent the raise. You've rehearsed confessing your feelings to someone so thoroughly that it almost counts as a relationship. You've planned your response to being recognized at an event for something you haven't done yet. Just in case. Your brain genuinely believes that preparation is never wasted. Your brain is wrong approximately 90% of the time. Because here's what actually happens. You've rehearsed the conversation. You know your lines. You've stress-tested every possible response the other person might give. You are ready. And then they say something you completely did not anticipate, something weird and human and slightly off topic, and your entire script disintegrates in real time while you stand there nodding slowly like you're processing a language you studied briefly in secondary school. The rehearsal is useless, but you'll do it again tomorrow, maybe tonight. And somehow that's not even the strangest part. The strangest part is the version of the conversation that happens after the real conversation. That's right. You don't just rehearse before. You also do a full post-match analysis and then rerun the conversation the way it should have gone. You said something slightly awkward in a meeting 3 years ago. You have since had that conversation 600 times in your head. It has gone differently every time. You have never once resolved it. You are never going to get closure from a person who has completely forgotten the incident. So instead you get closure from yourself. Imaginary closure, which your brain files under dealt with, and then absolutely reopens at 2 in the morning when you're trying to sleep. It gets worse. You've noticed, haven't you, that the rehearsed version of you is significantly more articulate than the real version of you. Real you says things like, totally, that's fair, when you disagree completely. Rehearsed you opens with a calm, measured pause, makes deliberate eye contact, and says something that sounds like it came from a screenplay written specifically for this moment. Real you text your friend about it afterwards and says, I should have said. Rehearsed you already said it. Beautifully. To a wall. Your brain has created an entire alternate identity. Let's call them prepared you, who lives in a parallel timeline where every conversation goes exactly as planned. Prepared you handles confrontation with grace. Prepared you never accidentally agrees to something they didn't want to agree to. Prepared you has an answer ready when someone asks, so what are your thoughts on this? Instead of doing the slow blink while your actual brain tries to boot up. Prepared you is not real. Prepared you has never, not once, shown up when needed. But your brain still believes. Your brain goes back into the rehearsal studio every single day and runs another session, just in case this is finally the time that life cooperates with the script. Here's something that might make you feel better though, or possibly worse, depending on your perspective. Everyone does this. Not most people. Everyone. Your most confident colleague who seems to handle every situation effortlessly? They spent 40 minutes last Tuesday rehearsing how they'd asked the IT department to fix their keyboard. The friend who always seems to know exactly what to say. They've been workshopping a text message reply for 3 days and still haven't sent it. The person who apparently just naturally floated through that difficult conversation at work without breaking a sweat. They rehearsed it in the car park. Twice. We are all, every single one of us, wandering through life with a full rehearsal schedule running quietly in the background. The conversations we need to have. The ones we're dreading. The ones we're slightly excited about but don't want to seem too eager for. The ones that happened already and went badly. The ones that haven't happened yet and might go badly. The hypothetical ones. The wildly unrealistic ones. Your brain doesn't distinguish between these categories. Your brain gives them all equal rehearsal time. Which is why, if you added it up, you have probably spent more total hours preparing for conversations that never happened than you have spent in actual conversations that did. You have rehearsed fictional confrontations with people you've never met. You've prepared responses to criticism that nobody gave you. You have, at minimum twice, practiced how you'd handle an extremely specific scenario that you already know has about a 1 in 4,000 chance of ever occurring. And yet, the rehearsal continues. Because somewhere in the part of your brain responsible for social survival, there's a tiny anxious producer who genuinely believes that if you just run it one more time, if you just get the pacing right and find the perfect line, real life will finally cooperate. And maybe one day it will. Maybe you'll be standing in the middle of a moment, a real one, a live one, and prepared you will show up. And you'll say the actual thing you meant to say, and it'll land exactly the way you imagined. And then you'll spend the next 3 weeks re-rehearsing it to make sure it was as good as you think it was. It's fine. Everyone's doing it. The shampoo bottles aren't judging you. They've heard worse.